the rent and cash. I was like, in my mind, I was like worrying about all these things. And then he texted me, he's like, hey, we have king cake. You know, king cake is the la rosca de reyes. Yeah. He says, you want some? And I'm like, yeah, can I just bring you our money for the rent? She's like, yeah, that's like cash is fine. Like I never pay but with doing these readings, everything is mostly cash. So, but anyway, point is, I was like worrying. I was like, oh, the landlords are problems, and he actually had a gift for me. He was like, want some cake? I'm like, sure.
You're like, where's the cake?
Yeah, exactly.
You always have that.
So when was that? When was the reading that I did for you?
That was on Halloween.
Oh, weekend. That's right. So October, November, December, January, February. Okay, so that's a good marker. It's a good time to kind of check in. Did you want to kind of do a follow up on that, or was there a specific thing you wanted to explore this time?
I don't have anything specific this time.
Oh, okay.
So a follow up will be, or in general.
So yeah, what's nice about not being out in the street when I meet people private is that one, we'll have more time, you know, and there's less distractions, it's less noisy, and then usually with the time we have, we'll have enough time to like get deep into one reading, or if you wanted to do two, we could do that too. Okay, alrighty. So I brought same decks that I had last time. So there's this deck, and then this one. I think you might have used this one last time. I don't remember. So you can pick whichever one you like best.
Does it matter which one you pick?
No, it's really just your personal choice. This was like the one that's been most influential. Was originally illustrated over 100 years ago.
Yeah, that's the one.
You want that one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. And this one's very much influenced. They pretty much influenced everything. So. Cool. Alrighty. So I'm going to go ahead and start shuffling for you. And first off, thank you so much for the opportunity to read for you and be present for your life changes and all these exciting things.
Let me see if I can.
You want to try to film?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see how many elephants you can put together. Let's see. Does that show? Are you able to see anything of that? There we go.
I didn't plan this.
That's okay. Yeah, we're about to bring a tripod. Okay. Well, we'll at least get the audio for that, and then you can take a picture of the spread. Alright, so go ahead and take the deck, please, and shuffle it. And as you do so, I invite you to set an intention to be open to whatever insight comes to you in your reading. And just notice, like you said, where you were at back in October. And then just notice everything that has happened since then, your choices, your general mood and disposition, kind of where you're at in the things that you talked about then, and then what you might be open to exploring going forward. And go ahead and cut the deck into 2 stacks for us, please. Awesome. Cool. Which stack do you like better?
Like this one.
Okay, so same with the way that I've done readings with you before. The first card is a overview to where you're at. Great, that's fantastic. And I don't know if you got this last time, but the Empress is basically all of your plans you've already set in motion coming to fruition above and beyond of what you want. Not just as okay, this plan and I'm doing this thing is going to turn out well. It's more like in general. There's just like a spirit of bounty. And I think that this, one, since I know you a little bit now, like I think this resonates with your a spirit of generosity. Okay, and so in particular, the Empress represents the feminine energy as mother. Okay, so notice both the influence of mother in your life. That suggests that it's in a very healthy space now and can be going forward. But then also you taking on that as well. So your mother role that you play with other people, with your community, and then this is very much tied to like earth, right? So you had talked last time around property and all of that. She's like, oh yes, and like not only is it about buying land, it's like what are you going to grow in the land, you know? So we're a lot of times because we think, okay, we're buying this house or we're doing this thing, it's like this lot and then that's it. But it's like yes and then what? So then the other thing about her, if you notice her demeanor and stance is very relaxed and open, like her knees are just like laid, she's chill, you know. And so she's chill with authority. So
empowerment.
Yeah, really very much so. And so it's very much encouraging and supportive of you to know that you have that. I mean, you're lucky to have, you know, living mom here, but also just mother protection around you. So let's get some more cards and get some information on them. That's great. Okay, we get the rest of the reading so we get a full. Are you and your partner married? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Alrighty. So this is discards. What's part of this energy is what you have been releasing, and you still have some more to do. Okay. So one of the big things you've been releasing is part of that, like worry that you had or stress that you had before was coming from a place of fear, you know, for one, and then also like the limitations, like thinking that I can only get so far. Like this is where we've gotten, and this is as far as I can get. And any of those self-limiting beliefs is what you've really had to work on. Okay, so that's what you need to kind of do some more. Like you've made a lot of progress, but there's more left to do. So if you notice here with this figure, she's bound up, especially in this original deck. It almost is like she's imprisoned. You know. The swords in the tarot represent our thoughts primarily, our judgment, our discernment, our ability to make decisions. And here, just like it's blocked and clouded, and she doesn't. If she used one of her swords, she could actually. And you can hold it if you want. You can do whatever you like. She could actually use a sword to cut through her own bindings, right? So that means using her judgment instead of to worry, stress, and fear limitation to actually move forward. And so that's what you've been doing. So just notice where it's kind of like a house cleaning up of that, okay? Mentally, emotionally, like psychologically in particular. So if you notice with her, like once she cuts through, if she realizes she can use these swords to release herself, she's not actually trapped, you know. She just can step forward, and when she does, she'll step into water, right? It's a little puddle right in front of her. That means that, like, kind of don't be surprised if their things might feel more emotional right now or more like intense, because the thing is, like, we've been living in a state of this. Once we start to release that, then everything we've disconnected from or try to protect ourselves through worry and stress, suddenly the actual feelings of it come out, right? So it might feel like you're stepping back, but you're not. You're actually sort of waking up to, you know, what you've been carrying around, right? So again, the fact that this is reverse is actually good, because that means that you've been releasing that. So that's like instrumental in her being able to flourish, right? Because like constriction and then just free abundance, right? The other thing that you are in a position to release now is whatever things you are addicted to, basically things that are unhealthy attachments, right? So there's so many ways that this can come up in, but let me look forward a little bit. I think something about I think like thought patterns, stories in particular, and then of course you can look at actual physical things, whether it's, for some people it's stress, like we actually get sort of addicted to the adrenaline of stress, and we think that that's productivity, but that's not how she got productive, right? So if anything, if you think of her as mother, things like stress actually get in the way of birth and giving birth to something. So whenever we get the double represents any time that we release ourselves, our like authority or free will, to something else. So that's why you see these two figures that are attached to this angel, basically. But their chains are really loose, like around the neck, which means that they still have the authority to remove them. But they choose, it's a choice to stay tied there. Yeah. So it's kind of like, think of it as if that is a room that you were visiting where you were bound and now you're coming out of it. So it's up to us how long we stay in the rooms, but there's like really important lessons, okay? So the idea is like, don't come out of that thinking, phew, made it. Okay, hope that doesn't happen again. It's like, no, actually, it's like, okay, what did I learn when I was in captivity, and how did I choose to be there? And what did I think was fulfillment that wasn't, a lot of that reflection I think is going to be really important. And this suggests that it's tied to at least how you relate to family. I'm kind of feeling like it's even more than your actual physical family, but your understanding of it, like your the dynamics and the role you've played in it. So
that makes total sense.
Yeah. So right side up, this is a healthy family. Doesn't mean that they didn't, have difficulties or whatever. But you have your elder, right? You have your adult children, little kid, even the dog, and they're all within their home and they're part of the town, right? So that means the elder has created a foundation and a pillar of community, like literally here. And like the whole community benefits from them. So this is the 10. The pentacles represent anything that we manifest in the world, our money, our energy, our time, our focus, attention, all that. And then the 10 represents family and legacy. Okay, so here it's you can pretty much look at your dynamic with family and the trauma, generational trauma that your family experienced, and see where these were inherited stories. So it made sense as a coping mechanism for the generations before us, or even for ourselves when we were little, So that's where the lesson is. Okay? So next, what happens next with this? So I think this is interesting. This can represent either your actual father or the masculine energy that you need to tap into to balance out. But I think it's also like the empowerment part, okay? Because sometimes people think like, okay, we're gonna meditate to just like be free of all thought. Like, no, that doesn't happen. That's not realistic, and that's not the point of that. So it's like, okay, if you're going to use your swords to liberate yourself, your mental patterns, what are you gonna do with it next? Okay, and so that's where you're stepping into your king status. So it's kind of like she's your mother, like your spiritual mother. Think Virgen de Guadalupe, think all of that bounty. The Virgen in particular, she's like unconditional.
Yeah.
She's like, she saw all this and she loves you, whether you're in it or out of it, no matter what, And so she then is going to send you out to do your work. So that's exciting because it's like, okay, well, what are you going to do, So then when you're in the right place maturity-wise to begin to step into that, and so like you're still kind of in the night. So the nights are like late 20s to 50 years, like the prime of your adulthood, but people are regarding you as like a leader. So notice where that might be happening here in family, but most likely work-wise, okay? And so the sword that's actually speaking to your ability to kind of cut through the crap, cut through people's bullshit, like you judging characters really accurately in your team, in your work. Like this is the kind of person that you want around when, you need to negotiate for a car, or there's an emergency, or you need a doctor, anyone who's going to make those difficult choices. So you're very much like set up for that success. So that's good. So the swords represent that, that mental ability. Some people might perceive them as cold, or heartless sometimes, but you have the Empress, so that's really powerful. So you have the sword taken up in the name of her, so that means, for example, that's a good for incorporating of your masculine and feminine energies. So you're willing to sit back and create family, and you're willing to go to war for it too.
Yeah. That's cool.
It's fantastic, yeah. So this is like the next level of commitment for you. So then that's like, okay, given all this is like a trap, this mental trap, and a lot of us get stuck here, or then this becomes immobilizing, right? But you're coming out of this and you're having this authority. The intention of it is commitment. So this is a celebratory, joyful commitment. And so these four wands represent, like in our life path when we celebrate with other people, like I made this thing and I'm all in it. Usually represents a marriage of some kind. So don't be surprised if in your own relationship you all are leveling up in terms of your commitment. And it's not I would suggest that you make it very intentional. And this card leads to that as well. So we'll get to that in a second. But the idea is like, okay, as we are both going into this next level of commitment, like what does that mean? And let's like reevaluate like what are your shared values, like where are you still going in the same direction? Does it all make sense? The idea with that is not that it's intentional, so you're not like assuming. Let them know, like, okay, well, that's why I don't know if you've heard of this. I've had this happen to a lot of friends where the moment they're about to like sign a lease on some new thing, one of them's like, I'm out, they break up, right? And it's because, or when gay marriage was legalized, a lot of couples broke up because then the question was like, well, are we going to commit? And they're like, no. Or yeah, right? So this is a chance for you to do that in a very like positive going forward, way for you. Also, I would say like in your work, I don't remember what your work team is like. This is a good time for you all to do that. Okay, checking in. Are we going in the same place, and what's this next level of responsibility going to be? Okay, so this is interesting. This card, I call this like the ghosting card. Like there's something that I'm going to describe this situation and see if it resonates. So right side up, if you notice this dude, he's in battle, right? So if you think of like the King of Swords, right? He's like the battle king, and he has in his encampment here some soldier that's running off with these swords. And he's like, I'm out of here, cutting loose, not my battle, bye, And so it's one of the cards of departure. So like there's some area in your life where in all of this process, you're actually outgrowing that dynamic, whatever it is, okay? And so it is time for you to scoot, leave. But it's also possible that for other people, as you're coming out of this, they might feel like that too, because you're maturing, right? And there may be people that benefited from your stuckness. And a tangible, like minor example would be, let's say there's a person who has like a gossip buddy at work, you know what I mean? And anytime some drama happens at work, they're like, oh my gosh, but they don't do anything. And then once one of them starts to feel empowered, then that chisme doesn't serve anybody, right? So just notice if there's like people, friends, anything that was like more superficial and not no longer working, needing to leave. But it's like what are you choosing and to commit to, and what are you choosing to leave? That's just as important. So the fact that it's reversed, I think it'd be easy to be sort of absorbed in the positive and kind of skip that part, and not say, okay, well, you know what, I think that person's kind of a user, or I think whatever it is. So do like an assessment of that. You can just slowly dissolve it. Don't be surprised if people just sort of stop returning a call or something like that. You know what I mean? That kind of ghostiness. If you feel if you choose to just kind of fade in that dynamic with whoever that is, just do so, I would suggest, not out of fear that you don't have a right to say no. So, because preferably it's better to say, yeah, I'm not cool with that. And that could redefine the relationship, right? So just consider whether it's interpersonal dynamics or even like larger situations, okay? One example too could be here, like with family, if they're used to you being quiet about things, then if you're suddenly maturing and raising your level of commitment, it's going to have to change the dynamic somehow, right? So it's possible that it's not like you're going to stop talking to them, but you might want to shift things. Okay. Sometimes, occasionally, this card comes up when I've had it come up when people kind of own up to their kind of faulty behavior and just kind of apologize. So don't be surprised if that happens too. So it's like the whole sort of like shifting. That's kind of what it feels
Really
like.
interesting.
Yeah. And then this card, the last card that you're getting here is really positive. It's like, it's really a blessing on your unions and the choice of commitments that you're making, especially to other people. So definitely like your partner, notice and check. This is a thing to check. I mentioned about checking your values, make sure that you're on the same page and committing to the same things. And these two here, make sure that you all are in a balance that you agree to. Okay. So I'm saying that because I know plenty of couples where one's definitely the one that's like doing way more stuff and the other one's like just chill. But it works for them. Like that's like their, right? So are y'all still on the same page in terms of balance that works for you, where each person is feeling respected, seen, and their contribution is also seen?
That's a really cool
Yeah.
one.
So that's really positive. So that a lot of times this comes up for positive romantic relationship, but also any sort of agreement. So if you're entering into any collaboration with someone, any kind of work, this also suggests that now that you're about to step into this, one thing that will level you up even more is more of those kinds of commitments. So notice who you partner with in your work, who those people are. If you need to you can even set an intention for a good mental collaborator match for you to work on some new project or something like that. You're not, and none of this suggests that you're meant to do any of this alone. You've already been isolated before in your own mental thing. It's almost like you've been pushed into the party and into the partnerships and into this in a very powerful way. Yeah. What do you think of these cards?
They are on point.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, that was one of the reasons why we didn't get to go to the parade yesterday. Because we were waiting for, we washed some sweaters that we bought and waiting for them to dry. And then we just got to talking. Because we had a lot of issues with my siblings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I've been in charge of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, not in charge directly, but
I get it. Big brother? Are you the
yeah,
oldest?
I'm the oldest.
Okay.
So with school and everything. And then whenever I, step in or send them a message, they blow up. Whenever I send them a message, like my sister's in school, and she did something wrong, I get the emails and I get everything. So when I communicate, they blow up against me, and I'm the bad of the picture. And so I was talking to them. I was like, we need to have a conversation where we're on the same page.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I'm like, these are not my responsibilities. Like last week, I was like, my blood pressure was through the roof. I was like really angry because my dad was angry because he didn't understand. And I'm like, this time I was like, listen, all of these things have been happening. Yeah. Y'all should be the ones. And I can't continue to do that. Yeah. So it resonated everything, like the family dynamics.
That's perfect. Wow.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing too. In doing that, you're calling the king to his own authority.
Yeah.
So that's actually, hopefully, we'll see how it goes, but then you can be king in your own realm, and then your dad can be in the family.
That's what they agree, and I know that my dad will follow through because he does. So that was really good, and I feel like my brother is the one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the even if it, let's say he doesn't quote unquote apologize, right? The terms under which you two can progress forward, you now can, it seems like you're now in a stronger space to say under these circumstances and not these other ones, So then it'll be on his choice whether to progress with that, respect it or not. This suggests that, most likely, So that's great.
Yeah. So
wow.
I did set the boundary with them, and I was like, you will not talk to me like that. I never disrespect you. I never call you names. You don't get to call me every name, because you're upset.
Right.
I'm like, and I won't be picking up your phone calls. If this relationship is gonna work, it has to be based on respect.
Exactly.
And this for everything that I am. You're not a kid anymore, and I'm not in charge of you.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And it was well received.
Yeah. They were, So the conversation started, and then I let it all out.
Yeah.
So I resonated with all of that. What you're saying, that there was like, you know, history and stuff that I didn't get to say before, and it was just hindering me. It was like bothering me, and it was like growing, and they weren't understanding, you know, because my mom would know something and my dad didn't, and they was just they don't communicate. So I was like, I don't know, like, you know, I communicate with Eric, with my husband.
Well, I was gonna say,
Yeah, like all the time. Like we're always talking. Like there's not an issue every day that we're not like, okay, let's dissect it. And what we took out of this, and this is this, and we, you know. So it also makes sense about.
Yeah. So here's the thing too, like that suggests this, when I mentioned addictions handing over our authority, it's very much applies to relationships too. And then it's very much like a codependent, not healthy interdependence, which the strong families built on healthy interdependence. But when it's toxic is an enabling thing, you know. So they're doing whatever they're doing, and you're the one with the high blood pressure, heart attack, you know. So if you think about it, that's a trap. You know, there's no winning there. So that's really fantastic. So then what I was going to say, and you led to it with your communication that you have with Eric, then the part that you do have authority over is the family you're creating, you know, going forward, and having less of a burden, that unjust burden is freeing you now to create what you want. Yeah. So, as it should be. Yeah. And that's a more powerful way to influence your siblings, because then you're not in their business, but you're providing an example. And then they can see like, oh,
and there's a truth for them.
Yeah, then they can say, oh, well, shit. I can do that. Oh, okay. Then they hopefully would go through their own untangling. Yeah, we'll see with that. Yeah. How many siblings do you have?
There's 4 of us. So there's 3 of them. It's my older sister, she's 35. My brother's 27.
Gotcha.
And my little sister's 17.
So in the, I was going to say, okay, so going forward, now that you've had that, which is great, it's fantastic, the thing you'll need to notice is your level of addiction in that dynamic. So meaning how you got used to thinking about them and being in their business, right? So there's, what I would recommend then is to, anytime it goes there, I think of it, and I don't know if I gave you this example, it's like, if you ever have driven a car that's been hit and you haven't fixed the alignment, it always like veers in the direction. So don't be surprised if your thoughts keep veering towards them. And then just pick one thing that you're going to focus on for yourself. Even if it's like, I'm going to check my blood pressure, I'm going to check my sugar, I'm going to, am I sleepy? Do I need, everything redirected to what do I need right now? That's the cure to codependence. Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and that'll help. That helped me a lot. I had to work on that because I realized my level of addiction was like, what are they doing? Like, as if I could fix it or something.
Right.
Yeah. So there's an illusion of power that's not there.
There is. It's kind of an expectation.
Yeah.
You know, because you're like, they're ungrateful. Yeah. But they never ask.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the other thing too. When you start to do that, like energetically, there's like all the things, all the ways your body's going to benefit and thank you and all that. But also energetically, they'll sense it. They'll sense that you're not in them, and it might freak them out, or they might feel freer to make their choices because they'll be free to make their mistakes and screw up without your involvement or opinion. You know what I mean? And then they'll experience the consequences all on their own as well. Yeah, so it'll be good.
I'm excited for that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Do you want to do another one? We have time to do another one if you like, or whatever you want to do. Do you want to explore any aspect of that, or some other issue thing, or another, whatever you want?
I'm good.
You're good?
I think I'm good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, let me go ahead and take a picture. Did you?
Yeah, well, I had it recorded, so
Oh, okay. Let me see. Yeah, when I put them back, I always throw them in random. So later on, I'm going to send you an image. This is what I do for people when I meet with them one-on-one. I'm going to send you an image with your cards. It'll be nice so you can hold on to it. Okay. Sorry about that.